32 million Americans have osteoarthritis right now. More than half of them were never told about the one protein that makes up over half the dry weight of their cartilage. It is not calcium, it is not glucosamine, it is collagen. And by the time most people start paying attention to it, they have already lost a third of what they once had. Here is the part that worries me. Your body starts losing collagen at about 1% per year after your mid-20s. 1% sounds like nothing, but it compounds. By 60, you have lost roughly 35% of your peak collagen. And for women after menopause, that loss can accelerate by another 30% in just the first 5 years. Because estrogen is one of the main signals that tells your cells to keep making collagen. So in this video, I am going to walk you through exactly how collagen works inside your joints, why you are losing it faster than you think, what is quietly destroying what you have left, and then the specific foods that either deliver collagen directly or give your body the raw materials to build more. I will rank them by the evidence and tell you which ones actually matter and which ones are mostly noise. I am a doctor who has spent years in the emergency department, and what I can tell you is that joint problems rarely arrive overnight. They build quietly over years, and the earlier you understand what is happening, the more you can do about it. Let us start with the mechanism, because once you understand how collagen works in your joints, the food choices stop being a list and start becoming a strategy. Your joints are not just bone meeting bone. Between those bones sits a layer of cartilage, and cartilage is not solid like a rock. It is more like a sponge, a firm, resilient sponge that absorbs shock every time you take a step, climb a stair, or stand up from a chair. The main structural fiber holding that sponge together is collagen, specifically type 2 collagen. Think of it as the scaffolding inside a building. The scaffolding does not get the attention, but without it, the building cannot hold its shape. When you are young, your body replaces damaged collagen fibers almost as fast as they wear down. But as production declines with age, the repair falls behind the damage. The sponge gets thinner, it gets stiffer, it loses its ability to absorb impact. And eventually, bone starts grinding closer to bone. That is osteoarthritis. It is not just wear and tear. It is the failure of the repair system to keep up. Now, most people think the only collagen that matters is type 2. That is the one in cartilage. But your joints are not just cartilage. They are also tendons, ligaments, and the joint capsule itself. Those are built primarily from type 1 and type 3 collagen, the same collagen that supports your skin, your blood vessels, your gut lining. Type 1 alone makes up about 90% of all the collagen in your body. So when we talk about protecting your joints, we are really talking about supporting the whole connective tissue system, not just one component. And that changes what you should eat, because different foods deliver different types, and your body needs all of them. But before we get to what helps, let me tell you what is quietly making the problem worse. This is the section most people never hear, and it is arguably more important than the food list itself. There are 3 things that actively destroy collagen in your body, and most people are doing at least one of them every day without realizing it. The first, and the one that surprises people the most, is sugar. Not just desserts and candy, refined sugar and high glycemic carbohydrates trigger a chemical reaction in your body called glycation. Here is how it works. When there is too much sugar circulating in your blood, those sugar molecules latch onto proteins, including collagen. They form compounds called advanced glycation end products. Doctors and researchers call them AGEs, and the abbreviation is almost poetic, because that is exactly what they do. They age you from the inside out. AGEs do 2 things to collagen. They stiffen it, making it rigid and brittle instead of flexible and resilient. And they make it resistant to your body's normal recycling process, so the damaged collagen accumulates instead of being cleared out and replaced. Think of it like rust on a steel bridge. The rust does not just weaken the metal, it also prevents the repair crew from removing and replacing the corroded section. Over time, the whole structure weakens. And here is where this connects directly to your joints. The collagen in your cartilage has an extremely long half-life. Some of those fibers have been sitting there for decades. That means they have had decades of exposure to sugar-driven glycation. A high-sugar diet is not just bad for your blood sugar or your weight. It is quietly degrading the shock absorbers in your knees and hips, year after year. I want to be clear. I am not telling you to never eat sugar again, but understanding this mechanism changes the calculation. Every time you reduce your sugar load, you are slowing the damage to collagen that is already there and giving your body a better chance to replace it with fibers that actually work. The second collagen destroyer is chronic inflammation. This is different from the acute inflammation you get when you twist your ankle. Chronic, low-grade inflammation. the kind driven by excess visceral fat, poor sleep, or a diet high in processed food, triggers enzymes called matrix metalloproteinases. Those enzymes chew through collagen fibers. It is their job. In small amounts, that is normal turnover. But when chronic inflammation keeps those enzymes activated around the clock, the breakdown outpaces the rebuilding. Your joints are losing ground. And the third is something people rarely connect to their joints at all: smoking. The chemicals in tobacco directly damage fibroblasts, the cells responsible for producing collagen. Smokers do not just make less collagen. The collagen they do make is lower quality. It is a double hit, and it helps explain why, in the emergency department, I would see smokers with joint problems, wound healing problems, and skin changes that looked a decade older than their age. The damage is not just in the lungs. It is structural. So if you are eating collagen-rich foods but you are also eating a lot of sugar, sitting in chronic inflammation, or smoking, you are essentially filling a bucket that has a hole in the bottom. The first step is not adding more collagen. The first step is slowing the loss. Now, once you have addressed those, here is where the food choices start to matter. And the evidence is actually stronger than most people realize. I am going to split this into two categories, because your body needs both, and most people only focus on one. The first category is direct collagen sources. These are foods that contain actual collagen protein, so your digestive system can break it down into the amino acids and peptides your body uses to rebuild its own collagen. The second category, which almost nobody talks about, is cofactor foods, the nutrients your body absolutely requires to assemble new collagen from those building blocks. Skip the second category, and the first one is far less effective. Let us start with the direct sources. Bone broth is the most concentrated natural source of collagen you can get from whole food. When you simmer animal bones for hours, the heat breaks down the collagen in the bones, cartilage, and connective tissue, and releases it into the liquid. Beef bones deliver mostly type 1 collagen, the kind that supports your tendons, ligaments, and joint capsule. Pork bones deliver collagen that is structurally very close to human collagen, which is why porcine collagen is actually used in medical wound care and tendon repair. The key is the simmer time. A quick broth barely scratches the surface. You want at least 12 hours, ideally with a splash of vinegar, because the acid helps pull the minerals out along with the collagen. Simple. You can sip it like tea. You can use it as a base for soups, stews, even cooking rice. Pre-made bone broth works too, but check the label. You want one that lists collagen or gelatin in the ingredients, not just flavored water. If it does not gel when it cools, it probably has very little collagen in it. The next source, and one of the easiest to add, is chicken with the skin on. Chicken skin is naturally rich in collagen, and chicken cartilage, like the kind you find in drumsticks and wings, is one of the best food sources of type 2 collagen, the specific type that makes up your joint cartilage. A 2019 study published in Alternative Therapies found that collagen derived from chicken cartilage improved skin elasticity and markers of connective tissue health in middle-aged women. The principle is simple. When you eat skin-on, bone-in chicken, you are getting the collagen matrix that the animal used for the same purpose your body uses it. Now, here is one most people walk right past in the grocery store: sardines. They are small, soft-boned, and you eat the whole fish. Bones, skin, scales, all of it. That means you are getting collagen from parts most other fish preparations throw away. On top of that, sardines are loaded with omega-3 fatty acids, which directly reduce the chronic inflammation that drives collagen breakdown, so you are getting the building material and protecting it at the same time. Canned sardines work perfectly. They are affordable, ready to eat, and you can add them to salads, toast, or pasta without any special preparation. What about organ meats? I know, not everyone's first choice, but liver, heart, and kidney are quietly some of the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet, rich in type 1 collagen, rich in copper and zinc, both of which your body uses to cross-link collagen fibers and make them strong. If the taste is a barrier, here is the trick. Mix them into ground beef, stews, or meat sauces. A few ounces a week. That is all it takes. Now, here is the part most people miss entirely. And it is the reason I see people spending money on collagen supplements and still not getting the results they expected. Here is a question worth asking. What actually happens to the collagen you eat? Because your body does not just absorb it whole and paste it into your joints. That is not how it works. Your digestive system breaks collagen down into amino acids, primarily glycine, proline, and hydroxyproline. Then your fibroblasts, the cells that build connective tissue, reassemble those amino acids into new collagen fibers. But that reassembly process has a strict requirement. It cannot happen properly without vitamin C. Vitamin C is the cofactor for two enzymes, prolyl hydroxylase and lysyl hydroxylase, that modify the collagen chain after it has been built. Those modifications are what allow the chain to fold into the triple helix structure that gives collagen its strength. Without enough vitamin C, the collagen your body makes is unstable. It literally cannot hold its shape at body temperature. That is not a theory. That is the mechanism behind scurvy, the disease sailors used to get after months without fresh food. Their collagen fell apart. Their gums bled. Their wounds would not heal. Their joints swelled. Now, nobody watching this has scurvy. But here is the catch. The difference between just enough vitamin C to prevent scurvy and enough vitamin C to optimize collagen synthesis may be larger than most people think. One study found that vitamin C increased collagen production in human skin fibroblasts by roughly 8 times compared to cells without it. That is not a small effect. So which foods deliver vitamin C most efficiently? Bell peppers, especially red ones, provide more vitamin C per serving than almost any fruit. One medium red bell pepper gives you over 200% of your daily value. Broccoli gives you nearly all of your daily vitamin C in a single cooked cup, plus sulforaphane, a compound that helps reduce the inflammatory enzymes that break collagen down. Berries, particularly strawberries, deliver close to 100% of your daily vitamin C in a cup, along with anthocyanins, which are powerful antioxidants that protect collagen from oxidative damage. Here is the good news. You do not need to eat these at the exact same time as your collagen source. As long as your total daily vitamin C is adequate, your body has what it needs whenever the building blocks arrive. But if your diet runs low on vegetables and fruit and high on processed food, you may be eating collagen-rich meals and still not building much new collagen. The assembly line is missing its most important tool. One more thing, proline. Most people have never heard of it, but collagen contains an unusually high proportion of this single amino acid, and when demand rises, during wound healing, heavy exercise, or just the ongoing repair that comes with aging, your diet needs to supply more of it. Where do you find it? Egg whites, dairy, mushrooms, asparagus. You do not need to track grams. But if your overall protein intake is low, your body may not have enough raw material to keep pace with collagen turnover. No supplement fixes that. All right, let me talk about supplements, because I know many of you are already taking one or thinking about it. Powders, capsules, drinks, they are everywhere. So does the science back them up? The research is actually more encouraging than I expected. A 2024 meta-analysis looked at 11 randomized controlled trials involving 870 people with knee osteoarthritis. Across the board, collagen supplementation showed consistent improvements in joint pain, physical function, and quality of life compared to placebo. That is not trivial, and it was not just one study saying it. It was the pooled result of 11. But here is where people need to pay attention to the details, because not all collagen supplements do the same thing. Hydrolyzed collagen, also called collagen peptides, is collagen that has been broken down into very small fragments. Your body absorbs these well. Most studies use somewhere between 5 and 15 grams per day, and the benefits tend to show up after about 8 to 12 weeks. This is the type you will find in most powders and drinks. It delivers the raw amino acids your body needs, particularly glycine, proline, and hydroxyproline. Then there is undenatured type 2 collagen, often labeled UC2. This one works completely differently. It is a tiny dose, usually about 40 milligrams, and it is not broken down. The intact collagen interacts with your immune system in the gut, and through a process called oral tolerance, it essentially tells your immune system to stop attacking the collagen in your own cartilage. In head-to-head studies, UC2 at 40 milligrams per day outperformed 1,500 milligrams of glucosamine, combined with 1,200 milligrams of chondroitin for knee pain. That surprised a lot of people. So the answer is not that supplements do not work. Some of them do, and the evidence is real, but they work best when your body also has the cofactors it needs to use them. A collagen powder without adequate vitamin C in your diet is like buying lumber but not having any nails. Now, I want to address something that matters more than most food lists ever will, and that is knowing when joint pain is something you can manage with nutrition and movement, and when it is something that needs medical attention. Not all joint pain is the same. And one of the things that concerns me as an emergency physician is how often people wait too long, because they assumed it was just aging. Here is a simple framework. If your joint stiffness lasts less than 30 minutes in the morning and improves with gentle movement, that is most likely early osteoarthritis or general wear-related stiffness. That is a situation where nutrition, movement, weight management, and collagen support can make a real difference. If stiffness lasts longer than 30 minutes, especially if joints are warm, swollen, or red, or if the stiffness affects multiple joints on both sides of your body. That is a different pattern. That could be inflammatory arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, or something autoimmune. That needs a doctor, and sooner rather than later, because early treatment changes outcomes dramatically. If a single joint suddenly becomes extremely swollen, hot, and painful, especially overnight, that could be gout or a joint infection. A joint infection is a medical emergency. You should be seen the same day, either at urgent care or the emergency room. Do not wait on that one. And I will say this plainly. I know an ER visit is expensive. I know that is a real reason people delay care in this country. But a joint infection left untreated for even a few days can cause permanent damage to the cartilage, the same cartilage we have been talking about this entire video. Being checked and sent home with reassurance is a good outcome. That is not wasting anyone's time. So let me bring this all together with something practical. If you are dealing with joint stiffness, swelling, or the feeling that your knees or hips just do not move the way they used to, here is a framework you can start this week. First, reduce the damage. Look at your sugar intake. I am not asking you to be perfect, but cutting back on sodas, sweetened drinks, and processed snacks reduces the glycation load on the collagen you already have. If you smoke, this is one more reason to work towards stopping. The collagen damage from smoking is not reversible through diet alone. Second, deliver the raw materials. Add a direct collagen source to your routine, whether that is bone broth a few times a week, skin-on chicken, sardines, or a hydrolyzed collagen supplement. Consistency matters more than quantity. A little bit regularly is better than a lot once in a while. Third, support the assembly line. Make sure you are getting enough vitamin C every day. That does not require supplements if your diet includes bell peppers, broccoli, berries, citrus, or kiwi regularly. But if your vegetable intake is low, a simple vitamin C supplement is inexpensive and effective. Fourth, monitor the pattern. Pay attention to when your joints are stiffest. Is it in the morning? After sitting for a long time? After walking? Write it down for 2 weeks. Not because writing fixes anything, but because the pattern tells you what is happening. Morning stiffness that improves with movement is a different story than stiffness that gets worse as the day goes on. Bring that log to your next doctor's visit. It gives them far more useful information than saying my joints hurt. And fifth, move. I know this is the advice everyone gives, and I know it can feel impossible when your joints are uncomfortable. But gentle movement is one of the most powerful things you can do for cartilage health. Cartilage has no blood supply of its own. It gets its nutrients through compression and release, like squeezing a sponge and letting it absorb fresh fluid. Walking, even 10 minutes after a meal, even laps around a mall when the weather is bad, compresses that cartilage and feeds it. Without movement, it starves. If you are over 65 and you are on Medicare, your annual wellness visit costs you nothing. No copay, no deductible. Most people never use it. At that visit, ask about your joint symptoms, your vitamin D level, and whether a basic inflammatory marker like CRP makes sense for you. That one conversation can change the direction of the next several years. Here is what I want you to remember from this entire video. Collagen loss is not something that happens to you overnight. It builds quietly, 1% per year, accelerated by sugar, inflammation, smoking, and time. But it is also not something you are powerless against. The foods that deliver collagen and the nutrients that help your body build it are simple, available, and affordable. You do not need a perfect diet. You need the right building blocks arriving consistently, and you need to stop quietly destroying the ones you already have. Your body is still making collagen right now. It has not stopped. It has slowed down. And the goal is not to reverse time. The goal is to give your joints, your tendons, your cartilage, the best possible chance to keep up with the wear. That is how people stay mobile. That is how people stay independent. That is how people stay in their own homes, climbing their own stairs, carrying their own groceries, keeping up with their grandchildren for years longer than they thought they could. One small change this week, just one. Pick the one that fits your life. That is enough to start.